Friends, I just worked my ass off this past week, and I couldn't be happier about that. And I'd love to explain why. Hi there, my name is Drex, and I make videos about poi spinning and flow arts, and sometimes about my perspective on the world too. And this is one such video. But before we dive into all that, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecca, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultra Poi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all of these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links down in the description of this video. And special thanks to the non-business friend of the channel, Pekha Pekkonen. Thank you so very much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. So the context here is that about 2 months ago, I got it into my head to do something kind of nuts, and that is to take one of my favorite poi performance videos of all time, that is G's poi performance at San Francisco DCOM back in 2008, and learn the choreography from top to bottom. I've had no guidance or help from G. I'm literally just reverse engineering it from his video. And I decided to give myself 1 week to learn his choreography and then to perform it myself, which is just an absolutely absurd deadline to put on a project like that. And it was really, really hard, but I'm also super proud of the results. And FYI, that video will be coming out hopefully in the next week. I have to take some time to run through so much raw footage in order to put that video out to the world, but be on the lookout for it. So the night that I shot the final video for that project, I definitely felt a little disappointed in the performance that I ultimately delivered. I felt like I had a better one that was locked inside of me someplace that I just couldn't access it. And upon review the next morning, I discovered that my final take of the video was actually way better than I thought it was. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was still something that I felt like I could be proud of. Now, the timing of this is kind of interesting because also yesterday while I was navigating through Twitter, I ran across a video from a young woman talking about why Zoomers and Millennials do not want to work. This is a meme that I know is something that a lot of people hold near and dear to their heart, but that I have found kind of baffling since I first heard it. And this video is actually a great example of why. So this is the case this young woman made. Basically, that work is good in that it brings feelings of fulfillment and purpose, but that currently people just don't make enough money to cover the cost of living, to cover the things they want to do. And meanwhile, we are watching the world burn very literally from climate change and any number of other things. And so it just feels like the work is futile. And I do get where that comes from, because definitely it feels like there are things going on in the world that are far bigger than us that are very, very problematic, not the least of which are climate change and global conflicts. But I find the logic that goes into then saying you don't want to work to be somewhat confusing, because it's like, okay, if you're not working, climate change and global conflicts are still a problem, but now you've removed that thing that gave you purpose and that gave you fulfillment. So it's actually a worse situation than the one that you started in. And that is not to say that all work is fulfilling and that all work gives you a sense of purpose. There are definitely a lot of jobs out there that are just mindless drudgery. I mean, that's part of why those jobs exist. People pay others to do the work that they don't want to do themselves. All of us do that. But that doesn't mean that purpose cannot be found within things like that. Years ago, I worked at a nonprofit here in DC, and I absolutely hated the job, despised it. I had to dress up in business casual, which felt very un-me. I had to navigate a bureaucracy of egos and people that I thought I was going in to try and contribute to the world and make it a better place. And more often than not, we were arguing about like what health plan we were going to use, or who exactly was responsible for which initiative and how responsibilities were being divided. It felt so tedious and it drove me crazy. And so eventually I left that job and I started doing flow arts full time. And I know that to a lot of people in the outside world, that looks like a victory. That looks like I became one of the chosen few that escaped the machine. Thing is though, I didn't escape the machine at all. See, like all the stuff that I didn't like about my old job, I still have to do. Not only that, because I'm a one-man shop for my YouTube channel and the businesses associated with it, I have to do at least a dozen other tasks that I didn't even know existed that are just as annoying. Like the whole reason that companies and nonprofits have a massive roll of employees is because every single employee specializes in a single task that there's probably some unpleasant stuff attached to. You see, ultimately the problem was not the work. The problem was how I thought about it and my feelings of connection to what the actual results of that work were. So like there are two things that absolutely make my week, every single week. The first one is when I get to go into the dance studio for an hour and I write a piece of choreography to a song. Sometimes I know exactly what song I'm going to be working on going in, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just see whatever's trending on Instagram and I pick whatever song kind of I feel a good vibe from, or that I can instantly see in my head some choreography to go along with it. Writing those pieces of choreography is such a joy for me that like I honestly have a hard time sometimes sitting on them for a couple days because I'm so excited about the results. I just can't wait to share them with people. And the other highlight of my week? Well, it's usually when I post choreography from my Poi dance classes and I see a video that one of my students has posted of themselves doing that same choreography. Back in the day, people used to do this with tricks that I had uploaded tutorials for as well. But in every case, what I was watching was somebody making a breakthrough themselves using the tools that I had put out there to the world. And that just filled me with a sense of warmth and joy because I had instant and incontrovertible evidence that something that I had done had had a positive impact on the world and somebody living in it. And the thing is, doing both of these things requires an enormous amount of work. Whether it is trying to get X, Y, and Z Poi dance moves to hit this count and that count and that count, or whether it is teaching the class where I'm going point by point through the choreography that I've written in order to try and help people get to the point where they can post videos of themselves doing that choreography too. These are not things that I necessarily look forward to, but the results are always things that make me happy. See, this is why we call work work, because it requires effort from us. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's both. But either which way, we're putting ourselves in a position where we have to be uncomfortable for a while in order to realize a great benefit down the road. And I think when people try and remove that from their lives, they're really robbing themselves of something great. I mean, sure, I imagine that like traveling the world and sipping wine and sitting on beaches is something that would be pretty fun, but at the same time, I don't think that I would get that same deep feeling like I've done something good for the world by doing something like that. And that's no shade on people for whom that is the goal. It can be really, really hard to find something that makes us feel fulfilled. It's a lot easier to find something that's going to be fun in the short term. But I think that it is worth the effort, the work, to find something that does make you feel fulfilled. Because ultimately, to me, I think that the benefit of work is getting through those difficult and unpleasant times teaches you a lot about what your potential is. It teaches you a lot about the things that you can create. It teaches you a lot about the things that you can work through. Every single time that you learn a new Poi trick, every single time you take on a new creative project, there's going to be problems that you have to solve. There's going to be moments when you're going to be really frustrated and you have to work through them and find out what's on the other side. And I personally think that that is pretty awesome. And I hope you do too. But for right now, I am also going to acknowledge that this comes with the challenge of maintaining a balance between work and play. And right now, it is time for me to play because I have done quite enough work this week, thank you. So I'm going to sit down and spin some Poi for fun for the first time all week, and I cannot wait. And I'll share some of it with you. you get anything out of this video, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help other people find it, and of course, to help my channel grow. Thanks so much for watching. This video would not be possible without the kind support of my Patreon supporters. In particular, I'd like to give a shout out to my Flow patrons who are listed on screen right now. Y'all are awesome. If you'd like to check out some of my other vlogs on a variety of different topics, I will go ahead and include a link to a playlist of those down in the description, as well as a link to my Patreon if you too would like to support my work. Thanks once again for watching. Make sure to get out and flow yourself, and I will see you with a new video real soon. Take care now. Peace.